So there are many valid reasons why not everybody chooses to run their own business, and one of them very definitely is staff and managing people. So we've had more disruption for BizGear this last week, and while things are moving overall in a positive direction, it is a little frustrating for the team when things like this occur. So our new driver, who seemed to be working out well, had a family emergency come up last week. While he was at work, he received a phone call and had to leave on the day, and we haven't heard from him since. Despite trying to get in contact with him, he's just dropped off the radar, which means that the team's back to having to pick up the slack on all of these different on the various parts of the business. So each of the different moving parts, so one moves out to cover the driver, which leaves a gap in another part of the business, which leaves gaps in other parts of the business. So it's a little messy when that happens. They're coping, but it's a little bit disappointing, obviously, not knowing, and the fact that he's just dropped off and not contacted. That's, obviously that's someone who can't be relied upon if he can't even be bothered sending a text to provide us with an update. Fortunately, though, there were a few candidates that looked okay from the applicant list, and it was only a couple of weeks ago that we were looking through that list and receiving those applications. So hopefully some of those people are still around. The owner, BizGear's owner, is planning to is trying to get in contact with those people, do some interviews, see if we can grab one of those to come in. Otherwise, we're back to square one and posting a new job ad and going through a fresh lot of applicants, starting the process over again. On the sales side of things, it was pretty much how I expected last month was going to play out, with last month being affected by school holidays, Easter holiday, Anzac holiday, and the Easter Monday and Anzac holiday both occurring on the same week, with the Easter on the Monday, Anzac on the Friday. It was always going to be a rough month in terms of sales for a business to business focused business. That being said, so their official fulfilled orders, which is really what matters, because that's what you can invoice at the end of the month. Official fulfilled orders was down 80% on the target. I said that last bit backwards. They actually achieved 80% of their target and missed it by 20%. That having been said, it was only very slightly down on the same period last year. However, there was a significant amount of orders put into the system that just weren't able to be fulfilled for the month, which actually has us at a point right now where we're only 3 working days into the month, and they have already achieved 45% of this month's target in terms of sales, and those are scheduled to be fulfilled this month. So with that in mind, we should be on track for a pretty healthy month from a sales point of view. And with that in mind, we're also looking at keeping the sales team focused on the activities that we've implemented. So the business owner and I agreed that it's now time to do a bit of a formal update and review of the client audits that the reps have been doing, because those have still been happening. Momentum on those has slowed down a little bit, but we've had a few come back that need to be updated into our action tracking, our action planning sheets. So that, and now being a new month, we want to make sure that we're maintaining momentum and the reps are continuing to follow through on those action items. We also want to get a gauge, the business owner and I want to get a gauge for what percentage of the way through that we are with those client audits in terms of each rep's total client base. How far through are they in terms of doing the audits, which is going to give us a bit of an indicator as to how many new sales opportunities we're likely to be developing with the existing client base, which then gives the business owner and I a bit of an idea as to when to start the initiatives on the new business acquisition, new client acquisition activities that we've got in mind. So that's going to lead into the further development of a marketing plan that we've already started a few of the basics on, but only the very beginnings. We've got quite a few ideas and there are opportunities, many opportunities to get into the more proactive new client acquisition side of things for BizGear. But we don't want to overwhelm the reps with too much activity. We don't want to waste any opportunities that might already exist, which are, essentially low-hanging fruit. And we don't want to, jump the gun by pushing too early on new business activity and risk diluting the current processes that they've got rolling. So that's going to lead us into some marketing planning, which is going to be interesting. This is it's an unusual niche in an unusual industry. But that being said, there is competition. It's just that the structure of the competitors is quite different, which is what gives BizGear a bit of a competitive advantage. And obviously the goals of our marketing are going to be to capitalise on that and communicate that through to our target audience when the time comes. We didn't have a great deal of progress, again, on the administrative process side of things, mainly because of the disruption from being down by a driver. However, the production report, that's been working and the business owner is happy with that. There's a few little tweaks that they're going to make to improve. Actually, in fact, we added a couple of reporting columns to that just for a few more KPIs that we want for that report, which will be worthwhile as we move forward, deciding around how we want to grow that side of the business too. So that's also working. But as for the more general day-to-day administrative documenting of those processes, not much progress this week, and we'll probably still have a little bit of disruption around that over the next few weeks until we get this driver situation sorted out. But overall, moving in the right direction, and I will update you in the next one.